Welcome back and good morning to our media panel, listener columnist Bill Ralston and well-known ad man David Walden. Good morning to you both, gentlemen.
Morning.
So interesting scenario and development this week in Australia with 9MSN. I think it's joined the Australian Press Council, hasn't it, looking at sort of helping to regulate online media.
It is one of the problems that a lot of online media isn't regulated in any way and no one looks after standards or anything like that. There have been developments here in New Zealand because the newspaper websites like stuff.co and the herald.co are put out by newspapers. Their websites are actually covered by the Press Council. Yeah. Yet TV3's website is not regulated in any way, shape or form. So what's happening at the moment is Sky, TV3 and TVNZ and some of the radio broadcasters are getting together to form their own version of the Press Council, a tribunal, if you like, which will handle complaints about what's said and done on their websites. And I think that's really a move they're doing to try and head off any attempt at government regulation.
Yeah. It's a tricky beast, isn't it? Because all of this develops faster than regulation does behind it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, and the problem is that the technology and the new communication channels are way ahead of the kind of regulatory bodies. But it's fine to roll a new kind of code for the broadcasters into one that's being managed by the Press Council. But at the end of it, I just worry that we seem to be, and I think you're kind of pushing it uphill to actually stop a lot of what's happening online being regulated in any form. I mean, I think it is very tough, and I admire the broadcasters for throwing their lot in with the Press Council, but I think you can get around it pretty easily.
In Australia at the moment, there's a former High Court judge, Ian Callanan, who's looking at how to regulate online media. Some interesting comments he's made this week. He said absolutely that the media shouldn't be muzzled with regulation, but he's also at the same time accused the media of sensationalism, bias, distortion and occasional deplorable behaviour. You would have aspired to all of that in your Nightline days, would you, Ralston?
That's right. I mean, I think it's really important, and his point there is the hard-won, freedom of speech. Yeah. It shouldn't be given away. The interesting thing is, though, while you start, if you like, regulating all the news sites that are out there, the blogs carry on completely unregulated and they can say and do what they want. There's a Law Commission report out suggesting cyberbullying could be controlled with a tribunal, and that would cover Facebook or Twitter and things like that, and it would order people to take down posts. But I think that could possibly be extended and is likely to be extended into the websites as well. For example, blogs. Well, blogs are all about bullying.
How do you unearth kind of muzzle whale oil or the Labor Party's?
Well, the Standard. The Standard.
I mean,
vicious comments on those.
Really vicious. And I mean, if you're going to start to put a muzzle on whale oil and the Standard, I think you again have got some real problems.
Well, the administrator would be taking down comments all day. You'd just be sitting there wiping comments.
You'd be very, very, very. You'd have to have a team of people looking at those blogs all the time and just removing all of the contentious comments.
I think it'd be a 24/7 job, wouldn't it?
It's a growth industry for someone.
Now, Judith Collins, she's not crushing cars anymore, but she is planning to crush cyberbullies. Some new suggestions she's put forward this week about whether you make it a specific offence to incite suicide. And by this we're talking about, I guess, Facebook, Twitter.
This is the case in Rotorua where I think it's recently sort of been finally resolved. But look, there's obviously, in my day, if someone was being bullied at school, the parents would arrive at the school, the other parents would come in and it'd all be sorted out. These days the bullying takes place outside of the school grounds, on Facebook and all of the other new social media outlets. I think it's hard for any school or anyone to actually kind of control all that, and how you actually control cyberbullying is a real issue. But I'm not sure whether another kind of new regulation. I mean, there's a law there that seems to be dealing with it. I'm just not sure whether. Do you think that we need anything else, Bill?
Well, yeah, I know on Facebook there was a particularly disliked gossip columnist for a certain newspaper, and there was a mocking site set up. That was supposed to be her fan club. Now, very hurtful things were said on that, I'm sure. And in revenge, a tribunal, such as the one the Law Commission was talking about, would probably make that site impossible. You'd have to take it down.
Yeah. Yeah, it just, look, the problem you've got is, again, it's that technology is ahead of the legislation. Yes. And you've got to do something about the cyberbullying, but I'm not sure whether trying to create another law around it is going to be the answer, really.
Let's touch on one of the major stories this week is about what's going on in Whanganui with regards to Stuart Murray-Wilson, the convicted, the beast of Blenheim. Now, this has become quite divisive. The media just simply describes him as that because everybody knows him as that. They don't necessarily know who Stuart Murray-Wilson is. The convicted serial paedophile. Let's face it, he's an awful man. What he's done is horrific. What do you make of, though, these titles that we give people?
It's the beast of Blenheim, isn't it? Yes. It's very News of the World or the Sun.
It's advertising pervading the news, actually, Rachel. See, we're giving people labels.
Yes.
We're now putting a new persona around something which the media lap up, and we've seen it around sportsmen and things like that. Now we're doing it with criminals.
Some media aren't using the phrase "the beast of Blenheim." I haven't heard it used on Radio New Zealand. That may just be me not hearing it, but it sounds like some media. Yes, the press,
all over the press.
Television New Zealand use it endlessly. I think
TV's used it as well.
Yeah, I just think as a phrase, it almost trivialises his vileness. You know what I mean? Yeah, not a good. I don't think it's a good look to keep using it.
It just makes him a bit too famous for my liking.
No, that's true.
OK, now let's talk about the beast of Belarus this week. Let's have a look at this cartoon that came up this week. It says, this could be dodgy. She did the sample standing up. This, of course, is in response to the positive steroid test at Ostapchuk, the woman who beat Valerie Adams and now, of course, has to hand over her medal back to Valerie Adams.
Do you think we'll ever get it back from Belarus?
Oh, I'm not sure. There's some suggestion they should send Willie Apiata in to get it.
Well, of course, we're talking about the beast of Belarus, aren't we?
Yes,
now?
indeed.
If we're talking about beasts, I think the Valerie Adams story has been amazing. I mean, the media frenzy that went on when this all happened, it was quite extraordinary. I haven't seen anything like that.
Well, I mean, when she looked so disappointed when she got the silver, and everyone felt sorry for her, and then to find that this other woman apparently cheated. What worries me is the amount of vitriol being poured upon the Belarusian in the media, and this jingoistic, ultra-patriotic, our girl.
Yes. Oh, and it's interesting too because everybody that you speak to about this drug says it's remarkable that she would test positive to it in today's age. You don't, it builds muscle. You can stop taking it 2-3 weeks beforehand. It won't.
Yeah, hasn't she come out and said, actually, I'm not giving the medal back because I don't think the test was right. So Valerie can complain all she likes, but the medal's staying with me in Belarus. So I don't quite know what happens there. No.
I mean, we were looking at that cartoon there. The attacks that have come on the Belarusian sexuality, I find I'm a little uncomfortable with, particularly some of the online comments that were made, and the fact that she's portrayed in some masculine way. Now she is a big girl, there's no doubt about that, but it was just an odd tone.
It was another kind of twist. I mean, I don't think there was any kind of. It seemed as if someone was looking for another way to just keep the story going.
Yeah, well, I don't think the media could quite believe that Val had been beaten. And maybe that's the media's fault, really, because we held her as the golden girl.
Well, there's the whole story. She dumped the coach, she got the new coach, she went to the World Champs, she won. She was odds on to get the gold. Everyone went, oh, what happened?
Yes.
And then, whoa, she cheated. I mean, this was vindication for the nation to say, yes, our girl got dudded.
And it did mean that the Olympics was a story that just kept on giving this week, because, of course, we've been without the Olympics this week. How do you think Prime went and Sky went with its coverage? It was a bit of a ratings winner, I think, wasn't it, for Prime?
For Prime, because of the time delay, obviously, the 12-hour time delay, it could run its highlights packages and cull the best of it out of there, and its ratings would have gone, by Prime standards, through the roof. What really annoyed me, looking back at the 8 channels on Sky, was I couldn't navigate them. I could never find out which channel was covering what. I'm chasing the beach volleyball, and suddenly I'm watching athletics, or vice versa.
I think you spent quite a lot of time watching the beach volleyball, Bill.
Do you notice that actually all the female athletes now appear to be wearing bikinis, even in the track and field? Bizarre.
Yes,
but
and some of the men
I think that was the lack of having the old traditional continuity guy and girl there.
You want your newspaper sort of rundown, don't you, that tells you exactly what's on at what time and what you can see. Yes.
You needed somebody to tell you where to go and what to watch.
OK, let's also touch on another big story this week, which was the scenario with Paula Bennett. Now, you'll remember she revealed details of 2 beneficiaries, the level of money they were earning. This week, she was given a slap on the hand, but it doesn't seem to have hurt her.
By the Privacy Commission and Human Rights Commission. Look, I mean, here those 2 women took themselves into the public arena to launch a criticism of the benefit structure and Paula Bennett. She discovered that they, in fact, were receiving slightly more in the allowance system. I think if you take yourself into the political arena, into the public, and make comments in the media, you forego a certain element of your of your privacy. And if you can't do that, I mean, how on earth would a journalist ever contradict the facts, if the facts are false?
They were saying that the training subsidies had been reduced and therefore this was disadvantaging them. She looked at it and said, actually, guys, you're screwing the scrum here. You're not telling the full truth. She put it out there. I think the public went, that's our money. I'm quite happy to know about that. And now she's been slapped on the wrist with a wet bus ticket and she said, I don't think I'll apologise because I don't think I need to.
Yes.
I'd probably be a bit more careful before I did it again.
All right, David Walden and Bill Ralston, we do have to leave it there.